All right, guys, how's it going? Well, I haven't stopped since we spoke this morning. It's 3:15 afternoon and I'm still at home. I should be at pub by now. Bloody hell, since I spoke to you this morning, I've interviewed the manager of my local team. I've posted all sorts online. I've had to translate shite. I've had to do emails. I've done myself some dinner, though. I did 2 pieces of fish, just in case you're wondering, on Friday. It was lovely. Yes. So, I'm going to do this video, then I'm off. All right, I'm going to get out. I was hoping to do the meal stand, but I think this is more important. All right, sometimes things come in and it jumps to the front of the queue. So what we're going to do is we're going to be talking about Curtis Jones in this video. Now, I've posted it, a text version of this, as you can see, on the members website. So I'm going to go through this. This is, like the analysis I do with Dave. I like to drop it on there as well for people that maybe don't have time to watch videos or maybe can't play them or if they're at work or something. So for those of you that are new to the channel, Dave's my AI assistant. He's been trained to analyse football news articles, break them down, look for holes, hedging, contradictions. We keep a record of every journalist that we review on here. So for the last 18 months, every journalist, every Twitter twat we've discussed, we keep an eye on them, right? And he analyses the reports, the journalists, the websites, newspapers that publish them and so on. We have a wealth of information, right? So Dave's gone through this with me because I've been trying to work out, there's been a lot of rumours that Curtis Jones has had a bust-up with Arne, right? So from my point of view, I start by, right, where did them rumours start? All right, where did those rumours start? Were there any games around that time, any defeats? And sort of like go back in time a little bit. And then if someone was making claims online, let's check their credibility. Let's see who they are. Is there any credible journalists saying these things? Okay, so that's what we're going to do here. So Curtis Jones and Arne Slot bust up rumours, timeline, source reputations, and why fans should ignore the noise. So it talks about here, following Liverpool's 3-2 defeat to Bournemouth, and Curtis Jones missing the carrier bag match on the 28th of January, officially due to illness, social media has gone into full meltdown mode. Claims have ranged from a dressing room bust-up between Jones and Arne Slot to tactical disagreements, punishments, omissions, repeat incidents involving senior players, and even Inter Milan loan or transfer links. As usual, the noise has been loud and the evidence hasn't. So let's have a look at this. Let's have a clear breakdown at the timeline of rumours, how the story started, who pushed it, and why fans should treat it with extreme caution. Now, just because you're treating something with extreme caution shouldn't mean you dismiss it completely, in my opinion. With any subject, I'm not saying specifically about this. Timeline of the rumours, 19th of January 2026, after the Burnley draw. An account using the name John Paul Skib LFC posted an exclusive, claiming a heated tactical exchange between Slot and Jones, allegedly based on sideline footage. The post framed Slot as being in danger of losing the dressing room and questioned player unity. Around the 28th of January, a user at James Wathland, a smaller Liverpool-focused account, hinted that Jones was unhappy after not being selected and had a small argument with Slot before being omitted from the squad. On the 30th of January, in the evening, approximately 10 to 9 in the evening, 20 past 9, in that half-hour window, GMT, Wilson Cox LFC, this is an account on X, escalated the situation dramatically. The account linked Inter Milan loan interest with something happening behind the scenes between Jones and Slot. Follow-up posts claimed Jones was not ill but dropped after a post-Bournemouth bust-up involving Jones, Virgil van Dijk and Slot, with references to effort and tactics. It was also suggested this was not the first incident, name-checking Robertson, McAllister and Salah. The same evening, 30th of January, around 11 minutes past 9, so around the time that was posted by that other account, the infamous Indy Kaela amplified the story to a mass audience with a breaking now post claiming a shocking dressing room bust-up, capital letters everywhere, between Slot and Jones, citing unnamed club sources. In other words, he was reading Twitter. From there, the story spread rapidly across X, TikTok, YouTube fan channels and WhatsApp groups. Notably absent throughout, confirmation from the club, mainstream journalists, or credible outlets. The official explanation remained illness and availability. What you have to think about, guys, with these things is sometimes there can be something, and then sometimes it can be exaggerated and twisted, and before you know it, it's massive, mountain, making a mountain out of a molehill. So what I do with these rumours, I always pay attention. I do. I always pay attention. But you also have to use your head, right? Do you know what I mean? So sometimes you can go, nah, that's complete bollocks. Sometimes you can go, ooh, that sounds possible. Sometimes you go, well, maybe a little bit's true. Do you know what I mean? So that's what I want you to think as we continue. The reputation of the key accounts driving the story. This is the most important part of the discussion. None of the accounts pushing this story are established or reliable journalists. They are rumour-driven accounts with a history of agenda, posting and engagement farming. Indy Kyela, you don't need any introduction, but despite having over 700,000 followers and a blue tick, this account has a long-standing reputation for sensationalism. The bio claims an award-winning team of elite reporters, but the output tells a different story. If anyone believes that, you need your fucking head testing, The account regularly posts dramatic exclusives that fail to materialise, particularly around Liverpool. There is a clear anti-Slot narrative running through recent posts, including repeated claims that Slot's job is under threat, reference to Xabi Alonso meetings, senior player dissatisfaction, and even suggestions of Gerrard as an interim option. Slot's comments are frequently framed as disrespectful to Klopp's legacy. This is classic click-driven content aimed at emotionally vulnerable fans. I couldn't agree with Dave more there. In other words, thick fucks. At Wilson Cox LFC. This account is openly agenda-driven, according to Dave. I don't know any of these other accounts, by the way. Okay, I know the indie one. I don't know any of these. The owner has explicitly stated, I am Arne Slot out, and defends that stance by claiming information is fed to them by trusted sources. Slot's post-match comments are routinely framed as disrespectful or unacceptable, particularly when referencing the pre-Slot era. The Jones bust-up claims emerged in the context of repeated assertions that Slot will leave before next season and that decisions have already been made by the hierarchy. Mixing supposed inside information with strong personal opinion creates clear bias and undermines credibility. Basically, what's happened here is Dave has gone through the timeline of these accounts to see if there is any anti-Slot, posts there, right? Another account at Jean-Paul Skib LFC. Self-described as a journalist for Liverpool FC. This account is consistently hostile towards Slot. Posts include slogans like Slot out, Slot leave, and just a matter of time, alongside memes about Slot being sacked. The earlier exclusive about a Jones exchange fits perfectly into a long-running narrative pushing for Slot's removal and replacement with Gerrard or Xabi Alonso. The agenda is obvious and persistent. At James Wathland, a smaller account focused on exclusives and early term team news, often linked to the brief FC. While not as overtly hostile as the others, the Jones-related posts still followed the same rumour pattern. Unverified claims, no evidence, no corroboration. It served as a precursor that later accounts exaggerated. The bigger pattern. All of these accounts share common traits, and you have to bear this in mind before thinking, do I believe them? Clear anti-Slot sentiment, frequent sacking narratives, heavy use of emotional language, reliance on unnamed club sources, no consistent record of accurate major exclusives. This type of content typically spikes after poor results, when frustration is high and omissions can be easily weaponized into drama. Dressing room unrest stories are one of the oldest engagement tricks in football social media. Verdict: should fans pay attention? No. This is classic social media noise. There is no verification, no mainstream reporting, and no club confirmation. The illness explanation remains in place, and similar bust-up stories in the past have quietly fizzled out without consequence. Slot has spoken positively about Curtis Jones previously, and there is nothing concrete to suggest a breakdown in relationships behind the scenes. Drama sells clicks, especially after defeats. That does not make it true. The sensible approach is the boring one. Stay calm, support the team, and wait for information from credible journalists. Now, we know that Fabrizio Romano, Mo Salah, rent a tweet himself, has also been talking about Curtis Jones. So, Curtis Jones into Milan and the timing that actually matters. Romano versus Joyce. Explain. Now, Joyce here, straight away, out of every account we've mentioned there, even Romano, Paul Joyce, that's who we're going to look for and what he says. After days of social media noise and questionable bust-up claims, we finally have something tangible to work with. Fabrizio Romano reported that Inter Milan are in direct club-to-club talks with Liverpool regarding a loan deal for Curtis Jones, with an option to buy, with negotiations said to be linked to a potential exit at Forest, waiting for clarity, blah, blah, blah. These are the notes. Excuse me. That understandably raised eyebrows. Not because interest exists, but big clubs inquire all the time, but because of when this story is emerging. So, Roman, is there a link? Do you know what I mean? Is there a link, right? And don't forget, there's contract negotiations said to be underway as well at the moment. Romano's information, what he's actually saying, well, Romano's wording is careful. He says talks are taking place, not that a deal is close. He also frames the situation as conditional, tied to Inter needing to move someone on first. That matters. This is not Inter aggressively prizing Jones away, it's Inter exploring a chain reaction. If the player leaves, Fratesi, then Jones becomes a possible short-term solution. That's opportunist market behaviour, not a targeted Liverpool exit strategy. It's also notable that the structure mentioned is a loan with an option, not an obligation. From Liverpool's perspective, that alone makes it a hard sell, and I agree with that. The crucial context, Curtis Jones' contract talks. What makes this particularly interesting is that this Inter story is surfacing at the same time Liverpool are understood to be in contract extension contract extension discussions with Curtis Jones. That detail is being completely ignored in the more hysterical corners of social media. When a player is in talks over a new deal, outside interest often leaks, sometimes organically, sometimes deliberately, as part of the background noise of negotiations. It doesn't mean Liverpool want rid. In fact, it often suggests the opposite. Clubs don't usually extend contracts for players they're actively trying to move on. Paul Joyce brings in the reality check. Paul Joyce has since poured cold water on the idea of any imminent movement. He states clearly that Liverpool will not sanction the departure of any senior players before the transfer window closes, and adds that sources at Inter themselves accept the idea of a Jones loan was a long shot. That line is doing a lot of work. Inter's own sources acknowledging it's unlikely tells you everything you need to know about where this stands. Exploration, not expectation. As ever, Joyce's reporting aligns with club thinking rather than fan-driven speculation. So how does it fit in with the recent noise? This also helps explain why the earlier bust-up narratives should be treated with scepticism. If Liverpool were dealing with internal discipline issues or fallout between Jones and Slot, they would not simultaneously be engaging in contract extension talks, ruling out senior departures, and briefing reliable journalists that exits are not happening. Sorry. The Inter interest looks like external opportunism, not internal instability. So the verdict of what's really going on, Inter asked Liverpool, listen, nothing more. Romano is reporting genuine dialogue, but dialogue does not equal intent. Joyce is reporting Liverpool's stance, and that stance is firm. Jones remains part of Liverpool's plans, and the timing of this story during contract talks and after a wave of online drama says far more about the transfer ecosystem than it does about Liverpool's intentions. As usual, the sensible response is patience, not panic. Now, a lot to take in there, right? A couple of things going on there. You have social media accounts with a history of bollocks, according to that analysis there, because I don't know the other accounts, making dramatic claims. And making dramatic claims is one thing, but we've also got Dave to identify that those accounts have a history of being anti-Slot, wanting him out. So how better to say, Curtis Jones, look how bad he's treating him, sack him. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know about you, but I'm going to be very cautious with those rumours. Very cautious with that rumours. And let's put this out there as well. Even if you are on the camp of, look, we need a different manager, it's not going to work out. Even if there has been some sort of disagreement or bust-up, which sounds a lot more dramatic, between the manager and player, so what? Right? Because maybe a player deserves to be on the receiving end of a gobful, from a manager. You can't just side with the drama and side with things that fuel what you want, like your agenda. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, Slot out. Listen, right, where I am with transparency, I haven't called for Slot to be sacked, but I don't think it's going to work. So I wouldn't be bothered if he left, right, in the slightest. But even if I'm Slot out, I want rid of him right now. If it came out that there'd been a bust-up with Curtis Jones, I'm not going to use that against the manager just because it's what I want, to feed my agenda. I think you're a pretty shit person if you do that, to be honest with you. You've got to be fair in life. You can be two things. You can be, Slot out, but I'm still going to defend the manager or head coach, whatever the fuck you want to call him, over an incident to do with the player. All right? Just because the player's had a bust-up doesn't mean that the manager's wrong. I mean, equally, the other way around, right? Maybe the player's done nothing wrong. A player, maybe they've had a bust-up over the years. Not this player, any other player. And maybe it wasn't warranted. The big bust-ups over the years at Liverpool, Robbie Fowler, Phil Thompson, for example. All sorts of things. It's a lot of men, right, all together in a very passionate sport with a lot of egos. Fallouts happen all the time. There are bust-ups all the time. So sorry. Unfortunately, people that amplify things or try and fuel their own agendas. So I don't know where you stand with this, to be honest. Where do I stand with it? Even though there's a lot of nonsense being spread, I would still keep them open, me personally, for an issue. I would, even though the accounts were being told to be extremely cautious. But being extremely cautious doesn't mean disbelief. An account being anti-Slot doesn't mean that what they're saying is not true. He's just got to be cautious, right? So me, I will just go, all right, I'll file it under, keep me fucking ears open. But right now, I don't see Curtis Jones going anywhere with regards to the other thing, and that appears to be genuine interest, all right? So that's my views on the Curtis Jones thing. Lots of you asking me about that. I think this is going to be the only video now that I'll do today. It's 15:36 here. I need to get changed, showered, sort Remy out, and get myself out for a beer, I think, a pint. Although, to be completely honest with you, I could just get on that sofa and go to sleep. So it's been a very, very, very busy morning. It really has. Okay, guys, I'm going to leave that with you. If you've got any comments you'd like to leave, please do. But I just want to, what I'm trying to show to you here is, I hear a rumour, and instead of backing it up and getting behind an agenda there, I go, oh, it's terrible. I go online and try and find out where it started, right? So, yeah, I've got Dave to assist me, but I don't just use Dave, I use other tools as well. and I don't disclose what they are all the time because I don't want to help other people. I want to help you, but I mean that people that just come and watch my channel and then go and pass it off as their work, if you know what I mean. So, trust me on this one, the rumour mongering is coming from very dubious accounts, all right? Okay, we will see. Doesn't mean it's false. It just means be extremely cautious. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please drop me a comment on this. Would you be bothered if Curtis Jones went? Seen better players leave late, you know what I mean? So I don't even think I would have spoke about this topic, to be honest, if you guys hadn't messaged me about it. Drop me a comment anyway. Thumbs up, comment. There's Love Art, which is a super thanks if you want to support my efforts here. There's a channel membership if you want to join the squad. Nice one. You get football next year. You look really important then. And well, don't just look at you. Are really important to me. And everyone watching these fucking videos. There's 3 links in the video description if you wish to, support me via alternative methods. Revolut is my preferred link because it's my beer kitty on a Saturday. And I can tell you why I've been sat here that my Revolut has pinged twice. First of all, we've got Chris D. Hello, Dunk. Seen some videos this week, but too busy to comment, mate. Have a couple of lubrications. Thanks for the videos. Bought me a couple of Magners. How nice is that? And I just saw another one. Where are you? From my good friend William Cahill, one of my regulars around here, and a really good supporter of mine. There you go, Dunk. Have a few. And he's got me a couple of Magners. How nice is that? So while I've been talking to you, my peoples have bought me 4 beers. Name me a better job in the world than that. Right. I can't believe the time. I've got to go. All right, guys, let me know what you think. I'll speak to you in a bit. All right.